One story that popped up today, and I've actually not been able to get to, so I'm interested in hearing your take on it. Nikki Haley is back in the news, and she said some things that have sort of divided people, and maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. Tell us about that.
Yes, sir, absolutely. So, prominent, contender or a thought to be a prominent contender for the 2024 Republican presidential primary, Nikki Haley has come out and essentially said in a Politico, there was let's backtrack. There was a lengthy feature article about Nikki Haley in Politico magazine that came out today. It's called Nikki Haley's Time for Choosing. The 2024 hopeful can't decide who she wants to be, the leader of a post-Trump GOP or a, quote, friend to the president who tried to sabotage democracy. Now,
well, at least they're unbiased.
Oh, exactly. At least they're presenting an honest take here. And so one of the quotes that has really bubbled to the fore this morning from that story was Nikki Haley saying, "We need to acknowledge that he, Donald Trump, let us down." Now, she was his UN ambassador for the early part of the administration. She went on to say, "He went down a path he shouldn't have, and we shouldn't have followed him, and we shouldn't have listened to him, and we can't let that happen ever again." Now, out of context, that's pretty aggravating. That's an aggravating establishment sentiment against Donald Trump. It's what you're hearing from the Cheneys of the world, from Kinzinger. It's what you're hearing from the Republican establishment as they try to cut weight and move away from Donald Trump as they escape the endless fire that is, the left eating up the conservative base and the conservative, figures of Congress. They're trying to be eaten last. Now, of course, you have to contextualize. She's talking about here the January 6th Capitol incursion. She's saying that, this election fraud discussion, some of the kind of far ends of that discussion with the Dominion systems and certain things that have not yet been proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that we shouldn't have followed down that path, and that it led a lot of already angry people to take things to extremes and to go to an avenue where their anger should not have been directed, essentially, and in a way that it should not have been directed. Now, that's how the story was run. The story was unfortunately run by folks like Politico, and then everyone else who aggregated it on the left. The Hill writes, "Nikki Haley breaks with Trump. We shouldn't have followed him." That's not the headline, and that's not the story.
Fake news.
And so we hear all about this unity message, Joe. And so what I'm wondering is we hear all the time from the left about, the Republicans, why can't they put forward someone with more honor than Donald Trump? When are they going to return to normalcy? We want someone like John McCain. For all intents and purposes, Nikki Haley is someone more in the line of John McCain. Whom they hated when he ran.
Racist John McCain.
Romney, who they hated when he ran.
Binders full of women.
We've got folks.
That was funny.
We've got a woman here who is more in that vein. I think she has separated herself from the John McCains of the world in a number of ways. She's far more gritty and far more like Trump than a lot of people give her credit for, but absolutely a more establishmentarian figure in the party. So why is it that the Democrats are, pushing this narrative that they want a more normal Republican Party, and then the first chance they get, they slash the tires of, this establishmentarian figure who could kind of bridge the gap? Is it that essentially Are they revealing right here in this story that they don't want a normal Republican Party, they want a divided Republican Party?
Maybe it could also be that they have the emotional and intellectual maturity of 8-year-olds, but Joe, you probably got a better insight on it than
I think that it always helps to paint the other side as more, I won't say radical, but as more to that side than it is. So the left is always trying to paint conservatives as QAnon people, as domestic terrorists, as, nut jobs, you name it, whatever. And that's what they're trying to do here by basically saying, look, conservatives are crazy. They're trying to say that. Politico is trying to say that. They're not really hiding it, right? And what they're basically trying to say is, look, all Republicans are around this cult of personality around Trump. All they care about is Donald Trump. They don't care about policy. They just care about Trump, 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 Trump. Instead of saying, look, Nikki Haley made some well-reasoned, some very nuanced comments about January 6th and about what happened before that. But what they're trying to do is just say it's all of the Republicans are on Trump, 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 and then Nikki Haley broke with that. Yeah. And it's a crack. And it's not. There's room for nuance. Yes. And the media doesn't like nuance. And the Democrats don't like nuance either.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talk about animus on here every now and then, and I think maybe it's displayed in there when you when you argue that Nikki Haley is actually what's needed, and then you tank Nikki Haley. There's the intellectual conflict involved in that. To me, makes me kind of think, okay, there's probably just some basically anti-Republican or anti-conservative, anti-GOP animus there. The thing that I guess first pops into mind for me with this is that if the left is attacking something, normally I tend to think, oh, well, it's probably a pretty good thing, whatever it is. And so if they're moving against Nikki Haley this early, that to me, that makes me think she's a threat, and she's someone that they don't like.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
No, what'd you say?
Maybe she is someone who actually can, tug the line of, look, she's loyal. She was very loyal to Trump. She's pro-Trump, but she's not the cult of Trump personality. She's not just all Trump all the time. She has her own views, and she's able to hug that line very well.